My name is Naomi. I'm 42 years old. I've been married for 14 years, and I just discovered that family loyalty has a price tag, and I'd been paying it alone this whole time. My husband announced he was bringing his ex-girlfriend back into our home and said confidently, "My parents won't let you fight this." I nodded. That afternoon, I sat across from his father and said something he never expected me to say. By dinner time, the family meeting took a turn no one was prepared for. My husband and I met when we were both in our late 20s. He came from money, not obscene wealth, but comfortable generational resources. His parents owned a successful regional business, the kind that keeps a family well off for decades. I came from middle-class roots, worked my way through college, built a decent career in operations management. When we married, his parents made it clear they'd helped us with the down payment on our house as a wedding gift. I appreciated it then. I didn't realize it came with strings. The first decade of marriage was relatively smooth. We had our arguments like any couple, but nothing that felt unsalvageable. His parents were involved in our lives, too involved sometimes, but I chalked it up to them being family-oriented. Sunday dinners at their house were mandatory. Holiday plans required their approval. Major decisions needed their input. I went along with it because it seemed to make my husband happy. Then, about 6 months ago, his high school ex-girlfriend resurfaced. She'd apparently been going through a difficult time. Divorce, job loss, some kind of personal crisis. My husband mentioned she'd reached out to him for advice, since they'd stayed loosely connected through social media over the years. I didn't think much of it initially. People reconnect with old friends during hard times. It seemed harmless. But the conversations became more frequent. He'd be texting her during dinner, taking calls from her late at night, spending hours on the phone offering emotional support. When I mentioned it was getting excessive, he told me I was being insecure and controlling, that she was just a friend who needed help, that I should be more compassionate. "She's going through a really dark time," he'd say. "She doesn't have anyone else to talk to. She has family, doesn't she? They've turned their backs on her. I'm all she has right now." What about her friends? Most of them sided with her ex-husband. "Look, I'm just being a decent human being. Why are you making this into something it's not?" I dropped it, told myself I was overreacting, but the feeling in my gut wouldn't go away. 3 weeks ago, he came home from lunch with his mother and sat me down at the kitchen table. He had this expression on his face, determined but nervous, like he'd rehearsed what he was about to say. "We need to talk about something important." I set down my coffee. "Okay." "She's in a really bad place right now. Lost her apartment. Can't afford rent anywhere decent. She's been staying in her car for the past 2 weeks." "That's unfortunate. Has she looked into social services? There are programs." I told her she could stay with us for a while, just until she gets back on her feet. I stared at him. "You told her what?" "She needs help. We have a spare room. It's the right thing to do." "The right thing to do is help a friend find resources, not move your ex-girlfriend into our home." "She's not my ex-girlfriend anymore. That was 20 years ago. She's a friend who needs help. A friend you've been emotionally supporting to the point where it's affecting our marriage." "That's dramatic. I've been helping someone in crisis. There's a difference." "And now you want her living here without even discussing it with me first?" "I'm discussing it now." "No, you're telling me. There's a difference." He got that look on his face, the one he always got when he was about to pull out his trump card. "My parents think it's a good idea. They actually suggested it." "Of course they did." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means your parents have an opinion about everything in our lives, and you always side with them over me." "That's not true. When's the last time you disagreed with them about anything important?" He didn't answer that. Instead, he said, "She's moving in this weekend. I already told her yes. If you have a problem with it, take it up with my parents." "Why would I take it up with your parents? This is our home, our marriage. Why do they get a vote?" "Because they helped us buy this house, because they're family, because they actually care about helping people instead of being selfish." That word hit me in the chest. Selfish, for not wanting my husband's ex-girlfriend living in my house. "I don't agree to this," I said quietly. "It's not up for a vote. It's happening. And honestly, if you fight this, my parents won't let you win. They're on my side." I looked at him for a long moment. This man I'd been married to for 14 years. This person who was threatening me with his parents like I was a child being sent to the principal's office. "Okay," I said. He blinked. "Okay?" "Okay, if that's how you want to play this, okay." I stood up and walked to our bedroom, closed the door, sat on the edge of the bed, and tried to process what had just happened. My husband had unilaterally decided to move his ex into our home, had conspired with his parents about it, had threatened me with their support if I objected, had called me selfish for having boundaries. I pulled out my phone and called his father, asked if I could meet him that afternoon. He seemed surprised, but agreed. Update 1. I drove to his parents' house at 2 p.m. His mother was out, which I'd confirmed before scheduling the meeting. This needed to be a conversation with his father alone. He met me at the door, friendly as always. Come in, come in. Want coffee? No thanks. I need to talk to you about something serious. We sat in his study. He looked concerned. Is everything okay? No. Your son told me this morning that he's moving his ex-girlfriend into our house this weekend. He said you and your wife not only approved but suggested it. He also said if I fight it, you won't let me win. He shifted in his chair. He told you that word for word? Look, she's in a tough spot. We thought... I need you to understand something, I interrupted. I'm not here to argue about whether helping her is right or wrong. I'm here to tell you that I will not live in a house with my husband's ex-girlfriend, and I need to know if you actually plan to take his side on this. He's my son. Of course I support him. Even when he's wrong? I don't think he's wrong to help someone. He's not just helping someone. He's been emotionally involved with her for months. He's on the phone with her for hours. He's prioritizing her over our marriage, and now he wants her living in our home. You really think that's appropriate? He was quiet for a moment. I didn't know about the phone calls, because he didn't tell you. He's been hiding how much time and emotional energy he's investing in her. This isn't about charity. This is about him maintaining a relationship that threatens our marriage. That's a serious accusation. It's a serious situation, and I need to know where you stand, because if you're going to back him on this, I need to make my own decisions accordingly. What kind of decisions? The kind where I protect myself. The kind where I stop trying to maintain a marriage where I'm constantly overruled by my husband's parents. The kind where I consult a lawyer. His expression changed. You're talking about divorce. I'm talking about recognizing reality. Your son told me this morning that your opinion matters more than mine in my own home. That's not a marriage. That's me being a tenant in a house controlled by his family. Now wait a minute, Jean. No, you wait. I've spent 14 years accommodating your family's involvement in our lives. Sunday dinners, holiday plans, financial decisions, everything. I've bitten my tongue when you've overstepped. I've gone along with things I wasn't comfortable with because I thought it was part of being in this family. But this crosses a line. We just want to help. Do you own our house? He frowned. What? The down payment you gave us as a wedding gift, was it a gift or a loan? Do you have any legal claim to the property? Of course not. It was a gift. Then why does your son think you have the authority to overrule me about who lives there? He didn't have an answer. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to call your son and tell him that moving his ex into our home without my agreement is unacceptable. You're going to tell him that you and your wife don't actually support this plan. And you're going to tell him that he needs to respect his marriage more than his history with this woman. And if I don't, then I'm filing for divorce. And when your son asks why, I'm going to tell him it's because his parents taught him that marriage is a democracy where his family gets more votes than his wife. I'll also make sure everyone understands that you encouraged him to move an ex-girlfriend into our marital home. See how that plays in your social circles. His face went red. That sounds like a threat. It's a promise. I'm not going to be humiliated in my own home while you all pat yourselves on the back for being charitable. This stops now, or I walk. Your choice. I stood up. He stood too. I need to talk to my son. You do that. I'm going to a hotel tonight. I'll wait for your son to call me with a change of plans. If I don't hear from him by tomorrow morning, he'll hear from my lawyer by tomorrow afternoon. I walked out. Update 2. I checked into a hotel downtown. Turned off my phone for 2 hours. When I turned it back on, I had 17 missed calls. 12 from my husband, 3 from his mother, 2 from his father. There were also a dozen text messages, most from my husband, ranging from confused to angry to panicked. Where are you? Dad said you threatened divorce. This is insane. Call me now. I didn't call. Not yet. I needed to let them sit with the consequences of their choices for a bit. Around 7 p.m., I got a text from his father. Family meeting at our house at 8. You need to be there. I responded, I'll be there. Your son should be prepared to explain himself to everyone. I showed up at 8 p.m. exactly. My husband was already there, sitting on the couch next to his mother. His father was standing by the fireplace. His younger sister was there too, looking uncomfortable, like she'd been dragged into something she didn't understand. I walked in and sat in the chair across from them. Nobody spoke for a moment. Finally, his mother started. I don't appreciate you threatening my husband this afternoon. I didn't threaten him. I laid out consequences for actions. There's a difference. You can't just demand we stay out of our son's life. I didn't demand that. I demanded you stop undermining my marriage. There's a difference. My husband jumped in. This is ridiculous. You're blowing everything out of proportion. Am I? Tell your parents what you told me this morning. The exact words. He glanced at them. I told her that we were helping someone in need. No. You told me your ex-girlfriend was moving into our house and that if I fought it, your parents wouldn't let me win. Tell them that part. Silence. His sister spoke up. Wait, you said that? I was frustrated. I didn't mean... Yes, you did, I interrupted. You meant exactly that. You've been planning this with your parents for at least a week. You didn't discuss it with me. You announced it. And you used your family as a threat to make sure I complied. His father cleared his throat. I didn't realize the extent of your connection with this woman. My husband's head snapped toward him. What? Your wife mentioned you've been on the phone with her for hours, that this has been going on for months. You didn't mention that when you asked us about her staying with you. Because it's not relevant. I've been helping a friend through a crisis. It's relevant, I said, when that friend is someone you used to date, and when your support of her has taken priority over your marriage. That's not true, isn't it? When's the last time we had dinner together without you taking a call from her? When's the last time we had a conversation that didn't get interrupted by her texts? When's the last time you prioritized us over her? He didn't answer. His sister, bless her, asked, Why does she need to stay with you? Can't mom and dad help her if they think it's so important? Everyone looked at her, then at the parents. His mother shifted uncomfortably. We offered. She said she'd prefer to stay with someone her own age. Right, I said. Because what she actually wants isn't just a place to stay, it's access to my husband. That's a horrible thing to accuse her of, my husband said. Then prove me wrong. Show me your phone. Show everyone the messages between you two. No, that's private. Private from your wife? You're trying to make me feel guilty for being a good person. I'm trying to make you see that you're risking our marriage for someone who shouldn't be your priority. His father spoke up. I think maybe she's right. My husband turned to him, betrayed. Dad, you didn't tell us the whole truth. You made it sound like you were casually helping an old friend. Not that you'd been investing months of emotional energy into her. That changes things. I can't believe you're taking her side. I'm not taking sides. I'm recognizing that your marriage should come first. And if your wife is uncomfortable with this situation, that matters. So I'm just supposed to abandon someone who needs help? You're supposed to help her find appropriate resources, I said. Not move her into our home. There are shelters, programs, family services. If you want to help her financially, we can discuss contributing to a security deposit somewhere else. But she's not living with us. And if I already told her she could, then you tell her you made a mistake, that you didn't have your wife's agreement and you can't follow through. You apologize, and you help her find alternatives. He looked around the room at his parents, who were now quiet, at his sister, who looked sympathetic to me, and finally at me, probably seeing something in my expression he didn't like. I can't believe you ambushed me like this. You ambushed me this morning. This is me responding. Update 3. The meeting ended with my husband agreeing, reluctantly, not to let his ex move in. His parents backed me up, finally. His mother was quieter about it, clearly uncomfortable with taking my side over her son's, but his father was firm. My husband left his parents' house angry. I stayed behind for a few minutes to talk to his father privately. I appreciate you backing me up, I said. He nodded. I didn't realize how far this had gone. He's always been stubborn, loyal to people, sometimes too loyal. This isn't about loyalty. This is about appropriate boundaries. I know. Look, I need to apologize. We've been too involved in your marriage. I see that now. The down payment on the house. It was meant as a gift, but I think we've held it over both of you, like we still had a say in your lives. You have, he sighed. I know. I'm sorry. That changes now. Does it? Or does it change until the next crisis when your son wants something and expects you to back him up? He looked uncomfortable. I'll talk to my wife. We need to set better boundaries too. I left shortly after. I didn't go home. I stayed another night at the hotel. I needed space to think about what came next. My husband called me around midnight. I answered. Are you coming home? Eventually. When? When I'm ready. This is childish. You got what you wanted. She's not moving in. Why are you still punishing me? I'm not punishing you. I'm processing the fact that my husband tried to force his ex-girlfriend into our home and threatened me with his parents when I objected. I didn't threaten you. Yes, you did. And the fact that you don't see it that way is part of the problem. Silence. Then what do you want from me? I want you to understand why this was wrong. Not just agree not to do it, but actually understand why what you did was a betrayal. I was trying to help someone. At the expense of our marriage. At the expense of my comfort and boundaries, without my input or agreement. Using your family as leverage against me. Those aren't the actions of a partner. So what? You want me to apologize? I want you to mean it when you apologize. I want you to actually examine why you thought any of this was acceptable. I want you to prioritize our marriage over whatever emotional connection you have with her. I don't have an emotional connection with her. You've been talking to her for hours every day for months. You defended her over me. You plan to have her live in our house. If that's not an emotional connection, what is it? He didn't answer. I'll be home tomorrow, I said. But we're going to counseling. Non-negotiable. Fine. And you're going to tell her that she can't stay with us. And why? That it's not appropriate given the strain it's putting on our marriage? Yes. I already told her. What did you say? That my wife isn't comfortable with it and we need to find another solution. Did you tell her why? What do you mean? Did you tell her that you've been investing too much in her and it's affecting our marriage? That we need boundaries? No, I just said you weren't comfortable. So you made me the bad guy. I didn't. Yes, you did. You made it about my discomfort instead of about your choices. That's not taking accountability. What do you want me to say to her? I want you to tell her the truth, that you've been leaning on her emotionally in ways that aren't appropriate for a married man, that you need to step back and focus on your marriage, that while you care about her as a friend, you can't continue this level of involvement. That feels cruel. It's honest. And if honesty feels cruel, that tells you something about the situation. He hung up on me. Update 4. I came home the next afternoon. My husband was there. He had clearly been crying. We sat in the living room and talked for hours. He finally admitted that he'd been using her as an emotional outlet, that our marriage had felt stale, that she'd been exciting and nostalgic, that helping her made him feel needed and important in ways he hadn't felt in our relationship lately. Why didn't you talk to me about feeling that way? I asked. Because I didn't want to hurt you, and I didn't want to admit that I was bored. Bored? Not with you. With us, with the routine, with the life we've built. It's comfortable and stable, and I should be grateful, but sometimes I just feel stuck. So instead of working on our marriage, you invested in her. I didn't think about it that way. I just thought I was helping a friend, and now I see how it looked, how it was. I'm sorry. We agreed to start counseling. I also insisted he cut contact with his ex completely, not just reduce it. He resisted at first, but eventually agreed. He called her that evening while I sat in the other room. I didn't listen to the conversation, but I heard the tone. It was different. Final. His parents called a few days later. His mother apologized stiffly for overstepping. His father reiterated that they'd be less involved going forward. I appreciated the gesture, but I didn't entirely believe it would stick. The ex sent me a message on social media about 2 weeks after everything went down. I'm sorry for any trouble I caused. I never meant to get between you two. I hope you can work things out. I didn't respond. I blocked her. Final update. That was 6 months ago. We've been in counseling the whole time. Progress has been slow, but real. My husband has been more open about his feelings, more willing to discuss issues in our marriage instead of seeking validation elsewhere. I've been working on being more present and engaged, not just coasting through life on autopilot. His parents have mostly stayed out of our business. There was one instance where his mother tried to make plans without consulting us first, and my husband actually shut it down himself. He said we needed to be consulted, not informed. I was proud of him for that. His ex found somewhere else to stay, last I heard, got back on her feet, found a job. My husband still follows her on social media, but he doesn't interact with her posts. I check occasionally, not because I don't trust him, but because trust takes time to rebuild. Our marriage isn't perfect, but it's ours now in a way it wasn't before. We make decisions together. We prioritize each other. We don't hide behind family or outside relationships when things get difficult. I learned that sometimes the only way to save a marriage is to be willing to end it. That boundaries mean nothing if you're not prepared to enforce them. That family involvement in a marriage can be toxic, even when it's well-intentioned. My husband learned that emotional affairs are still affairs, that nostalgia is a trap, that the grass isn't greener, it's just different grass. That marriage requires active participation, not passive existence. His parents learned that helping their son doesn't mean always taking his side, that supporting him sometimes means telling him he's wrong, that their wedding gift didn't come with lifetime voting rights on our life decisions. We'll see where we are in another 6 months, another year. But right now, we're actually working on us instead of pretending everything is fine while it falls apart. That's something. The house is just ours now. No ex-girlfriend sleeping in the spare room. No parents weighing in on who should live here. Just the two of us trying to build something worth keeping. It's not the ending I wanted 6 months ago. It's not the revenge story where I left and everything fell apart and I rode off into the sunset. It's just two people who almost lost each other, deciding that maybe they're worth fighting for after all.